Hello, good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn the theory of power, the origin of state. In the previous class, we learned about the theory of divine origin, and today the next theory is theory of power. So let's get right into it. Now, in order to understand this theory, first you have to remember what you learned in the previous theory. The previous theory was completely based on how God created state and how God appointed king, and the king was only accountable to the God, and the people were probably completely helpless against the will of the king. So in this theory, it completely rejects the previous theory. It says that the state is not created by God. It's not created by God, and it is born out of power. It means that the powerful people, the strong people rule over the weak people, and this is the only theory that supports basically the might is right. Second thing, this is a political thinker that says the first king was a fortunate warrior. You have to understand this theory as a whole. Every line is only a part of the whole. So when we'll be through the all 4 points on this page, the features, you will have a clearer understanding, and then we'll make a summary of it. Okay, so the first king was a fortunate warrior. This is said by Voltaire. What is this supposed to mean? This means that in the beginning there was one or more than one strong people were physically strong, and they were warrior, they were fighters, they fought battles and they won battles, and by winning these battles they conquered a lot of land, a lot of property, because at that time property, land was basically the most important resource. So they conquered a lot of land, a lot of property, and the people who were living on that land started to serve these warriors. These fighters, these warriors started to dictate the terms, started to make rules, and then they themselves became king. So Voltaire says that the first king was a fortunate warrior. It was a warrior who fought battles, won those battles, and then became kings only because he was a stronger person. Third thing, the base of this theory is based on the survival of the fittest. You might have heard about this doctrine of survival of the fittest of Darwin. This is a very crude kind of theory, to be honest. It says that only the fit, only the strong will survive, while the weak people or anything that is weak will one day will get out of existence, will become completely extinct, or in simple word will be perished from the face of earth. Now, this theory is, I think you have heard about the food chain. Okay, if you haven't, just food chain is a thing that is, it basically means that the bigger animal eats the smaller animal. Like there is small zooplankton that are eaten by small fishes, then that small fish is eaten by a big fish. That big fish is eaten by a shark, and a shark can be eaten by a whale. This kind of thing. Or in the if you talk about the land based food chain, there are small animals like a mouse. It can be eaten by a cat. A cat can be eaten by a bigger carnivore like a wolf. A wolf can be eaten by a lion. This is how this theory works, that only the fittest, only the strongest will survive, and all those intermediary people or all those intermediary animals will get consumed by the stronger. So this theory is, I think you are getting the sense of this theory, that this is kind of a very dangerous thing, then a very dangerous theory. This is actually trying to bring human and humanity to the level of animal existence. The fourth thing here is the beginning of the state are to be sought in the capture and enslavement of man by man, in the conquest and subjugation of feeble tribes. We're going to learn this again. The beginning of the states, so how the state started, according to this theory, is the capture and enslavement. When one person was strong, of man by man, when one man was strong, he captured the weaker man, and he made that weak man his slave. He started to rule over that person, and then this thing goes on, and that person, the stronger person, became the king. In the conquest and subjugation of fabular tribes, and this was being done to increase his property, increase his influence over more and more land and more people. Now we're going to have a summary of this so you can understand what this theory actually says. This says, first of all, that the state is not created by God. The only reason behind the creation of state is power. And how is that? Now this theory says that only the fittest will survive. Only the strong person in nature gets to rule while the weak has to follow. According to this theory, the first fortunate warrior, the person who was a warrior, he became the first king. He fought battles, he won battles, and he started to dictate his terms. He started to rule over those people who were defeated. You may see this in modern day too, when there is a war between two states. Like there was a war between, in the last decade, there was a war between United States and Iraq, in which of course United States won, and then for a lot of time, and even still, a lot of terms of the Iraq things were dominated by the mindset and the policies of the Americans. So, however, that is not exactly the suitable example here, because we're talking about modern day, that is a rule-based order. In this order, it is talking about the first king. So yes, it is not created by God. It is born out of born out of power, and it is based on the survival of the fittest. And it says that the first king was a fortunate warrior who won battles, and then he started to rule over the defeated people. And the beginning of the state, the reason behind the beginning of the state is that strong man started to capture and enslave the weak man, and in order to increase his influence, includes his area of influence, this thing kept going on, and then we have what is called as state. I hope this is pretty much clear now. Now, of course, this theory was developed by multiple institutions and people, and we're gonna have to understand. We're going to learn a few very important person in this. First, this theory was developed and exported by the Greek sophist. Okay, who were the sophists? Sophists were basically teachers of ancient Greece. These were like, you have two type of education system: the public education system and the private education system. These people were very costly. They imparted knowledge, but they charged a huge amount of fees. And it is also sad that these were kind of materialistic. They were teaching the students to become as materialistic as possible, to gain power is the important thing in life. To get all kind of things that give you pleasure is the only point of existence. These kind of things these people used to teach, and they were very crude in their thoughts. And they said that justice is interest of the strong. If you are strong and what you are saying is not actually right, but you are strong, so you have this power to push even the wrong thing as right. While if you're a weak person and you try to say something and you try to fight for something that is actually right, but since you're weak, well, the odds of getting victorious are highly against you. So, however, this is not true at all every time, but in some places, yes, this is very much the reality. It says that justice is interest of the strong. There is no right, there is no wrong in this world. Whether you're strong, then your interest becomes justice. By individualist are the people who give more priority to a person. They believe that every person is special, and everything has to be decided by that person for himself. So the individualist says that the state is a necessary evil. State is bad. They say state is not good. There should be no state. But they also say that it is necessary. It is necessary. We cannot completely end the state. There has to be some kind of rules based society, and those rules have to be made by the state. So individualist says that the state is necessary evil. State is bad, but it should be there, but it should do as less as possible work. By anarchist and the state. Anarchists are the people who do not believe in any kind of state. They say that state is a wrong institution. There should be no state. There should be completely stateless society. These people talk about why this should happen and why this shouldn't happen. There are a lot of reasons given by these people. So like if you use banking system and you're sending your money to a person that you know, now the bank is going to charge a fees. The anarchist says that since this is my money and I'm sending this to someone that I know, who is the bank to charge me fees? These are the kind of people, these are the kind of things that anarchists believe in. So anarchists say the state is a bad thing, it is born out of power, and we should just end the state. By Marxist. Marxists are the people who believe in Marx, Karl Marx. You might have heard about him, and we will hear more about him in the future coming classes. So the Marxists believe that state is the executive committee of the exploiting classes. They say that actually the state, the government is not actually the real ruler here. They are not actually doing what is supposed to be done. It is the rich class that influence the decisions of the state. And so basically state is working as a committee of the rich class to exploit the poor class. So they also say that basically state is an institution that is born out of power. When the rich people who have more property, who have more money, they control the lives of the poor people, and by this they use the tool of state. So state is basically born out of power. This is what Marxists believe. Fifth is by the German philosophers. This is going to be a very crude things now, because this is based on basically on war and journal people kind of things. Now by the German philosopher, they said that the most ancient of all laws, like the oldest of the laws, which extends from God to the beast, and this law can be applied on God and also animals, gives to the stronger rule over the weaker. They're saying that the strong will rule over the weak. This is what they believe in. And what happened after this? This theory was exploited by Hitler and Mussolini. Adolf Hitler was the dictator of Germany, and Benito Mussolini was the dictator of Italy. And what happened? These people, when they waged war against multiple countries in World War II, they justified their attack. They said that since we are strong, since Hitler believed in this Aryan superiority, he said that since we are the superior race, we have this right to conquer as much land as we can, because this is the right of the strong to rule over the weak. And that did not really work out very well, because he lost the war, of course. And what he did, 6 million people were killed, because Hitler believed those people were weak and they should be killed. And this was a crime against humanity. So this shows you how dangerous this theory is. You cannot just give free hand to anyone to just go and attack other countries and then just kill people because one person believes that he's superior while others are weaker, others are inferior. They're not. Every person is created equal, and this was actually said by Abraham Lincoln in his favorite Gettysburg speech, that all men are created equal. Now we're going to head toward the criticism of this theory before the end of the class. So there are these 5 basic points of criticism. You can add a couple of, if you something that comes into your head, you have heard the story, you have understood the whole theory now. So these are the 5 basics. First of all, force alone did not create the state. Well, we cannot completely deny the fact that yes, in the ancient times when there was no rule-based society, of course, wars and force did play a role in the creation of state. Their force is still present in the state. But we cannot say that only force did it. Force was only one element. There were other elements as well. Second thing is, state is a moral institution. In today's world, when we look at state, the basic point, basic reason, the basic aim of the state is the welfare of its people. It's not like, hey, we are strong, we are going to rule over the weak. That is not going to work out. That is going to give rise to various civil wars and something like that. The basic thing that the state has to do today, the work of the state is cut out, and this work is to the welfare of the people. Whatever the policies it makes is in the welfare of the people. The state has to take care of its people, its masses. This says that the state is a moral institution. It's not a brute animal existence based society. It is a society that is based on moral. It is a institution that is based on morals. Now, not force but will of the people is the basic of state. If the people are not willing to come together and form a state, by no amount of force you can keep them together. You have to have this will of the people. So people want to come and they want to stay together. People want to follow the law. It's not only force. There are people who sometimes are dictated by force, of course, but the majority of the people want to follow the law because they know that the law is in their own interest. So it is the will of the people that is the basic of the state. The people believe that there is a common authority and that common authority is needed, the law is needed, only then your interest will be protected, and that's why the will of the people is the basic of the state. Fourth thing, this is against liberty. If you're going to give free hand to someone because he thinks himself that, hey, I am the superior one and I can go attack anyone, or I have this right to somehow dominate the so-called weaker people, then that is against liberty. And today, liberalism dominates everywhere. We have certain rights. We have specifically, we have complete right our own life and how our decisions are going to be made by us. And if there is someone just because he thinks he's strong, he cannot just go and disturb people's life. And one more thing here that can be added: what is the definition of power? What is the definition of strength? Someone can be physically very strong, but he can be not that much smart, not that much Einstein in the head. And at the same time, there can be some people who are not very physically strong, but they're scientists. I mean, scientists have landed on moon. You have to understand that point too. And I don't see any scientists that are bodybuilders too. No, there can be people who are physically strong too, and they are also very intelligent, but there are a lot of people who are physically not that strong but intelligent. They are super intelligent, and there are some people who are not that smart and but they're not that intelligent, but they are very much physically strong. So who is going to decide the real definition of power here? You cannot let you cannot let just the people who are physically strong to do everything, or you cannot also ask an intelligent person who is a scientist to get in a ring and win boxing matches. That is not possible. Both are important in their own spheres. And the last point is that it is against democracy. And today we live in democratic world. Most of the countries, about 90% or more than 90% of countries are democracies. And in democracy, it is not about weak or strong. It's not about person who has strength, or a weaker person, or superior or inferior, or so-called high classes or high caste and so-called low caste, or gender-based society. No, it is not like that. In democracy, every person is equal and every person has same vote, one vote, and every vote has equal value. So everyone has equal say in the matter on affairs of the state. So this theory completely rejects equality. It says that I am strong, you're weak, I'm going to do whatever I want, and you have to just suffer. No, in democracy, it doesn't matter which background you come from, what's your height, what's your weight, what's your intelligence level. No, you are a person and you are equal to the other person, and you have equal amount of say. This is what democracy believe in. So this was the theory, and then there was some propounders of this theory, and this was a criticism. You do not have to worry much about this theory because yes, it did seem very dangerous, but in today's world we live in democracy, and this theory is more or less outdated now. However, that doesn't mean that it will not be asked in the question paper. You have to understand it again. Try to revise it after the class. Before you go to sleep, just revise them once and you will understand everything about it. Try to write the main points. You will also understand, more clarity will come. So I hope you learned something from this class. Now I'm going to end this class. Thank you.